Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're tackling a massive challenge and honestly a multi-billion-dollar opportunity over in East Africa, regional industrial growth. For decades, the default answer to driving this growth was, well, just handing out traditional bank loans and crossing our fingers. But that old playbook, it's being completely rewritten from the ground up, and that's exactly what we're getting into today.
So, what if money alone truly can't grow a business? I know, it sounds a bit counterintuitive. We usually assume that a lack of cash is the absolute biggest hurdle holding emerging businesses back. But for micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs in East Africa, traditional commercial debt is actually turning out to be a bottleneck, not a growth engine. Think about it. Handing an entrepreneur a super high-interest loan without the right structural support, it's literally like giving them a heavy anchor when what they desperately need is a sail.
So, the crucial point is, we need to look at Section 1, beyond traditional banking.
To really wrap our heads around this regional transformation, we have to honestly evaluate the severe limitations of standard commercial debt. Why is the current financial ecosystem leaving so many promising, hungry businesses just stuck in neutral? Well, on one side, you have traditional banking. It relies heavily on conventional debt, carrying these prohibitive interest rates that can absolutely choke a promising startup before it even gets off the ground. But on the other side, we have a total paradigm shift, catalytic funding. Instead of burdening entrepreneurs, it focuses on low interest, active capacity building, and injecting real market intelligence. It's not just a financial transaction anymore, it's actual enterprise transformation.
To really hammer this home, listen to this powerful insight from Charles Madiwa, the CEO of DFCU Bank. Speaking at the Regional Industrialization Conference, he hit the nail on the head, saying, "Capital is far more than cash. Capital is market intelligence. Capital is also human capability." He is pointing out a fundamental truth here. Businesses absolutely need technical skills and market access to compete globally, just as much as they need money in the bank. Knowing where, how, and when to sell, that is the actual capital. Without it, cash is just paper.
Let's move on to Section 2, redefining capital.
So how do we actually empower these MSMEs? Well, DFCU Bank is championing a radical new framework to give these businesses a genuine runway to take off. Moving way beyond just handing out cash, Madiwa outlines a highly structured three-pronged intervention model, and this brilliantly illustrates exactly what MSMEs absolutely require to scale. First up, technical production skills. They have to know how to create high-quality products efficiently. Second, financial literacy, understanding exactly how to manage and reinvest their resources for the long haul. And third, patient capital. If you're missing even one of these three pillars, the whole structure of a growing business is at risk of just collapsing under the pressure.
Okay, let's take a quick second and make sure we're all on the exact same page about what catalytic funding actually means in practice. Essentially, it's risk capital where MSMEs pay back only the principal, alongside a very minimal administration fee. This intentionally shields them from those prohibitive interest rates we were just talking about. It's a highly affordable setup. It allows growth stage enterprises to finally take that crucial next step and invest in their own expansion, rather than spending every single dime they make just paying down high borrowing costs. It's a total game changer.
Which brings us to Section 3, the catalytic funding model.
Now that we've got the theory down, how is DFCU Bank actually operationalizing this? It makes perfect historical sense that DFCU Group is leading the charge here. They were established way back in 1964, specifically as a development finance company. And today, they have some serious muscle backing them up. We're talking major international players like Arise BV from the Netherlands, holding nearly 59%, right alongside the National Social Security Fund of Uganda and other big investors. Why does this matter to us? Because it proves they have the deep financial roots, the institutional backing, and the real authority to execute this massive regional vision. This isn't just some small pilot project we're talking about. This is a fully backed, systemic shift in how a major institution deploys capital.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this single figure, 1%. I know, it sounds like a tiny number, doesn't it? But DFCU Bank has officially committed 1% of its annual net profits to the DFCU Foundation, specifically to create this interest-free catalytic fund. When you're dealing with the net profits of a major financial institution, 1% translates into serious transformational capital. It shows a concrete monetary commitment to the three-pronged model we just discussed. They are putting real, hard resources right behind the rhetoric.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 4, transforming primary producers.
We've talked a lot about macro-level theories and bank policies, but now let's zoom in on the micro-level reality.
How does this catalytic funding actually change daily life for an entrepreneur on the ground in East Africa? Well, DFCU is rolling out specific agricultural interventions that actively de-risk primary producers. Take the Kasese cocoa growers, for instance. Through a partnership with Rabobank under the SEED program, they aren't just selling raw beans anymore. They are being equipped to produce and sell commercial chocolate. Just imagine that massive leap up the value chain, going straight from raw materials to finished exports. They're also backing school-based poultry initiatives. These are highly functional, real-world models deliberately designed to transition local producers directly into lucrative regional and international export markets.
And that leads us to Section 5, Unlocking Regional Integration.
But, and there's always a but, right? Here is the harsh catch. Even with perfect patient capital, world-class technical skills, and financial literacy, these newly transformed businesses are going to hit a brick wall if East African regional borders remain bogged down by red tape. Capital and capability mean absolutely nothing if you can't easily move your goods, and that is exactly why the upcoming 3rd Regional Industrialization Conference, scheduled for August 2026 at the Kampala Serena Hotel, is so absolutely critical. Led by the Private Sector Foundation Uganda, or PSFU, and the Minister of Trade, Honorable Sanjay Tana, this isn't just a talking shop. It's an urgent, highly focused mission to gather policymakers and innovators, focus intensely on regional value chains, and actually fix these physical bottlenecks on the ground.
Because frankly, the math here is brutal. Persistent barriers across East African community borders impose heavy, direct costs through sky-high transport expenses, financing charges, and lost market opportunities. Stephen Osimwe, the CEO of PSFU, is arguing fiercely that reducing the time and cost of moving goods, services, and people across these borders absolutely must be treated as a top competitiveness priority. And he's right. Because, let's be real, all the financial reforms and catalytic funding in the world won't help if your finished products are just stuck sitting at customs.
Which leads us perfectly to our final thought for this explainer. If we can successfully combine patient capital with open, frictionless borders, what is the true limit of East Africa's industrial potential? Imagine DFCU Bank's catalytic funding model seamlessly feeding right into PSFU's vision of a truly integrated regional market. We aren't just talking about a few successful businesses anymore. We are looking at an economic revolution that completely reshapes the future of African finance and industry. I will leave you to ponder that incredible potential. Thanks so much for learning with us today.